I don't hear anything.
Same thing as this.
Please welcome the Newington Police and Fire Department Honor Guards who will begin our ceremony.
Color guard. Oh. Color. Yeah. Colors. Green. Red. Oh.
Please remain standing and remove your hats and place your hands over your hearts for salute as Sue Hilario sings the national anthem. Thank you, Sue. By the dawn's what so proud you did at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rocket's red glare, no bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Right here. A word.
Know about this before I moved.
Good evening. A warm welcome to all. Thank you for coming out this evening to attend this historic event. My name is Mary Wood, and I serve as the chairwoman of Newington's America 250 Committee. The first public reading of the Declaration of Independence occurred on July 8, 1776 in Philadelphia. And July 8, 2026 as part of the 250th anniversary celebrations. On July 8, 1776, citizens of Philadelphia gathered at the Pennsylvania State House, which is now Independence Hall, to hear the Declaration of Independence read aloud for the first time. Colonel John Nixon, a local merchant and militia officer, stepped onto a platform at noon and read the document to a diverse crowd of soldiers, tradesmen, shopkeepers, and free and enslaved Black Philadelphians. The reading marked a pivotal moment in American history, transforming ordinary colonists into citizens of a new republic, signaling a public commitment to independence from Britain. The words, "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal," resonated deeply, inspiring both celebration and apprehension, as public reading was considered an act of rebellion punishable by imprisonment or worse. Following the reading, copies of the Declaration were printed and distributed across the colonies, sparking similar public readings in Boston, New York, Charleston, and Savannah, often accompanied by civic ceremonies and celebrations. To honor the 250th anniversary of the first public reading, Americans across all 50 states, U.S. territories, and even international locations are participating in a coordinated reading program called Sharing the Spirit of America. The nationwide reading will begin at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time this evening, with the local start times adjusted across time zones. Unlike Day in Philadelphia in 1776, Newington will be sharing the diverse spirit of America, as we will have residents of all ages, walks of life, and service come forward to read this important historic document. Please know that it will be read in its original text without any censure. Some of the phrases contained in the Declaration are archaic and would not be considered proper today. However, they were in 1776. We would like to thank the following department staff for helping to make this evening's events possible: Town Clerk's Office for the scroll easel and bell, Parks and Facilities staff for setting up the program site, IT for the live streaming, and the library for hosting the reception. We would also like to thank the Newington Fire Department and the Newington Police Department for providing the color guard. The Newington Teacher of the Year, Jill Hinton, cannot be with us this evening. Her portion of the Declaration will be read by Newington High School class of 2028 AP student Maddie Genova. Grace Trebleton will be reading with Max Nowacki, as Dan, Max's father, is unavailable. After the reading, there will be a reception in the community room in the library. Thank you all once again for attending this evening. May we continue to uphold the ideals set forth in the Declaration of Independence.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. Attend all manner of persons and give ear. We gather upon this hallowed ground to commemorate 2.5 centuries of liberty. It was in the year of our Lord 1776 that representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled, made their solemn declaration. They mutually pledged our lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to secure the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Today we mark the 250th anniversary of this audacious and immortal document. Let us hear the very words that gave birth to our free and independent nation.
Woo! Woo! Okay, almost. Okay. Just about.
Unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve political bands which have connected them with one another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impelled them to the separation.
Golden's truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the government.
That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new governments, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers, etc. As to them, shall seem most likely to affect the safety and happiness.
Prudence indeed will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed.
But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces the design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former system of government.
The history of the present king in Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries, usurpations, all having a direct object the establishment of a national tyranny over the states. To prove this, the facts be submitted to a candid world. He has refused to assent to laws that must also be necessary for the public good.
Has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent was obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, right inestimable to them, and formidable to tyrants only.
He has called together legislative bodies at a place unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the repositories or their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them in compliance with his measures. He dissolved the representative houses repeatedly from opposing man-made governance, his invasion on the rights of the people.
He has refused for a long time after such disillusions to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned the people at large for their exercise. The state, remaining in the meantime exposed to all dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within.
He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states, for that purpose obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judiciary powers.
Judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace, standing armies with the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independent and superior to the state. He has compelled others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation.
Form large bodies of armed troops amongst us.
For protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any crimes which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses.
For abolishing the free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our powers, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments.
Suspending our own legislators and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and reaching against us.
He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coasts, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas, to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sections, sexes, and conditions.
In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren.
We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend an ungrantable jurisdiction over us.
We have reminded them of the circumstances of our immigration settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity. We have conjured them in the ties of our common kindred to disavow these nations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace, friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress assembled appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these United Colonies are and of right ought to be free and independent states,
that they are absolved from allegiance to the British Crown and connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. It's free and independent states, that they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor.
God save the United States of America. God save our liberties. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah.
Once again, thank you all for coming. Please join us in the community room over at the library for a nice reception. Thank you again.
I know you're right.